All right, microphone check, microphone check. Let me check my sound. Microphone check, microphone check. All right, sound is good. We are live. Welcome to Burning Down Babylon. This is your host, Lloyd White. Always doing it right, baby. So I took a little break from YouTube. I made a video. It was the last video I posted. I was live for about near 4 hours. And I was talking about all kinds of shit. I went real deep into Ottoman Empire and the wars surrounding the Ottoman Empire, how the empire was divvied up, and how the Middle East was drawn out. I talked a lot about Zionism and the Balfour Declaration, and I really put a lot of information out there. And what happened was, at some point, the broadcast had shut off. So after the dust settled, I looked, and there was about an hour and a half of the show. The other nearly 2 hours of me speaking was lost. And I have done live shows and made videos before. I should have known better, and I should have checked my audio, and I should have checked that I was still broadcasting, because these things happen. And when you tend to speak about Zionism, well, you tend to have technical difficulties. So that pretty much pissed me off, and I wanted to redo the broadcast, but I don't do any kind of script. I don't really do show prep. I mean, research is a way of life for me, so I tend to just speak on topics and subjects that I know about. I keep up with current events. I read plenty of books. I'm a student of history. So, I mean, losing that, not being able to recreate exactly, really pissed me off. And, making videos and especially doing a live broadcast is always a positive sort of thing for me. So, I mean, I felt real negative after losing that show. I mean, I tend to speak a lot, and I go off on tangents, and I try to tie a lot of information in with what I'm talking about. So, I mean, to lose 2 hours of speaking, I mean, it really fucking pissed me off. And I noticed that when I make a video about, something sensational, which I've done on purpose, so I've kind of deliberately used clickbait just to see what would happen. And I used a picture of a busty girl as the thumbnail. Those two videos were my most popular videos by far. The videos like this of me just talking and, shooting from the hip barely get any views at all. I'm hoping to change that. Personally, I'm not going to say I don't like making videos, but I prefer to just speak like this off the cuff and, throw out whatever information I can, you know. As I'm speaking, not that many people, like single digits, actually watch my show. And I do take part in other people's shows via the chat. So I'm kind of known in certain circles of certain shows, but I'm not trying to piggyback my show off of theirs. I mean, if that happens, it does, but I'm not actively seeking the promotion of my show off of someone else's. Today, a lot of people will be listening to this show, and I will have on, and I'd be happy to answer questions and interact with the chat. And, you could hear me rant and rave and ramble about whatever bullshit is, you know, relevant at the time. So getting into what the title of the show is, the Trump effect, the Alt-Knights, rebel media, and what's going on. Let me bring up a internet tab here. And first I want to talk about Trump and what's going on in Syria. About what I call the Trump effect, which is the distractions and what is not what is actual fake news. And the way that fake news is used now as a weapon against especially woke people, if that's what you want to call them, but the normies as well. During the campaign, Trump told us that he wouldn't attack Syria. He wants peace. The same stuff Obama told us, the same stuff George Bush had told us. We've been lied to because after, the first 100 days have come and gone, and I believe Trump's true colors have finally. One thing Trump neglected to campaign and tell us about was his, I don't even know what to call it, his profound love of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu and Zionism. In my opinion, and it's the opinion of others as well, that Trump is the most Zionist we've had in a long time. And, as Obama was leaving office, he was investigating the government and their involvement with Israel. And I believe that was quickly swept under the rug and covered up by the Zionists in power now. I mean, you're not going to see ever Zionism come under scrutiny. And when you look at the United States in the Middle East, since, the end of World War II, because if you study history, believe that World War II never actually ended. Some of the names were changed, some of the theaters were changed. The United States has pretty much been in continuous war too, if not through the entire history and existence of the United States. the United States has constantly been at war. Let me check, am I still broadcasting? I am. Let me pull up the screen share. We could talk about some of this stuff. All right, so we're sharing. So here we got the Independent, and I just Googled, Trump bombed Syria, and now we're seeing more by the U.S. in Syria. And, at first we're told that the U.S. wants to bomb terrorists, but now we see the U.S. bombing targets. U.S. airstrike has hit pro-Syrian government forces in southern Syria, U.S. officials say. The war in Syria has been underway for more than 6 years, fought primarily between President Bashar al-Assad and various forces opposing the government. Now, there's two sides to this war, and clearly one of them is stated being forces. But, they gloss over and say various forces opposing the government. No, these are Zionist-backed terrorists. This is United States-backed terrorists. And if you don't already know, the United States created Al-Qaeda. The United States has created ISIS. Part of a bigger agenda. It's called Greater Israel. It's been worked on since the end of World War II. If you don't know, in 1947, Palestine was given to Israel. And that was the reward for getting the U.S. involved in the war. So they're not going to tell you that Zionists and the United States are backing these various forces opposing the Syrian government. So we got the US-led coalition commander first attempted to get the pro-Assad forces out of the zone by dispatching 2 US aircraft as a show of force. People are fighting for their country, for their homeland. They're not just going to run. Also, Syria map. Now, southern Syria has been a target of the Zionists. Okay? One being build from the Persian Gulf, Iraq, Kuwait, and they want to run them west through Syria and into Israel. Israel has plans on becoming exporter of oil. The Middle Eastern oil is the target and Israel. Now, something, and this has to be made clear. Zionism, anti-Zionism, anti-Judaism. Okay? As soon as you say Zionism or you're against Zionism, you're automatically going to be called an anti-Semite. You say, discard it, and you're going to be pretty much called a racist and a xenophobe and an anti-Semite. Pejoratives they use. What you're saying. Let's take a look at the map here. Here you have Israel. Center here we have Jerusalem. Mark my words. We will see the capital of Israel being moved from Tel Aviv. That is part of the pledge that let me say that again, the United States Congress signs. Every senator, every member of the House of Representatives signs the pledge. Money. So you don't back Israel, you don't get reelected. Representative Cynthia McKinney could attest to that because she didn't sign the pledge and they outed her. So here you see the Gaza Strip, which is Palestine, smaller, a concentration camp. They have it walled off. The people in there are basically like animals in a cage. You have the West Bank getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's not big as this is outlined here. I'll tell you that right now. You look at a current map of Israel and left for the Palestinians. You see here, Israel does have access to the Red Sea by its southern border here. And historically, even going back to Rome, trade routes. With that said, on the north. Here's the north. We have the Golan Heights, which is bordered Israel. The Golan Heights did belong to Syria, and Israel kindly took it. The target that Israel is focusing on right now, and what they're going to do is they're going to chop Syria up into smaller pieces. And the beginning of this, making the southern section of Syria, western section of Iraq. Sorry, my mouse is a little screwy here. That clicking noise, by the way, is my mouse. I apologize. I know it gets annoying. I try not to do it. Into Iraq, the main highways run through Syria and Jordan. And by no means is Israel going to stop there. Israel is going to take Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, the northern part. They're going to take the whole thing. And this is a project called Greater Israel. I mean, I kind of went off on a Zionism tangent, but there was a reason for that, and the reason is doing the bidding of the Zionists. Has done nothing wrong. They've done nothing to the United States. There's no reason for the United States to be bombing Syria. But Trump and the United States are softening Syria up. And I believe soon, I don't know, the political landscape changes pretty quickly, but I believe the United States will have ground troops in Syria at some point during Trump's first presidency. Now, depending on how useful he is, we might see him come back for a second term. But in Trump's first term, I personally believe we're going to see ground troops in Syria. I mean, we've already seen the last airstrikes, which they bombed an airport, but they didn't bomb the runway. Now, you might ask yourself, what is the most important part of an airport? The control tower, and most importantly, the runway. That's how the planes take off and land. Without the runway, you no longer have an airport. You bomb an airport and not bomb the runway. So this Trump effect is we're getting all kinds of other stories about Trump. And these are to distract us from the real story. The real story that the United States is doing the Zionist bidding in it with Israel, and these two have teamed up, and they're bombing Syria as we speak. And you may see one or two news articles here and there, but you're not seeing it on the 24-hour news cycle. You're seeing stories about Trump's impeachment, possible impeachment. You're seeing stories about stupid things Trump said. You're seeing just gossip, nonsense, nothing of importance. What is important is that the United States is bombing Syria. 5 hours ago, we see the United States striking Syria, and it's in the name of attacking ISIS. The whole, war on terrorism is just a way for the Zionists and the United Nations and United States to be able to attack anybody in the world. And I mean, these attacks haven't been sanctioned by Congress. In the United States, you need to go before Congress to declare war. You can't just go around willy-nilly bombing people. But with executive orders, the presidency has usurped the power to declare war. They won't call it war, and they won't say they've declared war, but they'll do shit like this. Because I'll tell you right now, the American people are not in favor of going to war with Syria. The military is not in favor of going to war with Syria. We're still at war with Iraq, and we're still at war with Afghanistan. These are the two longest running wars in American history. And they're still going on right now. Live. Got to double check from time to time. I don't want to get cut off here. So the Trump effect is coming into play. I hate this mouse. Pain in the ass. So let's Google. You've seen this Trump effect from day one. You've seen the Trump effect used time and time again. Zany, off the wall shit. It gets both the left and the right agitated. Sure, reason, a more devious reason for using Trump. I believe Trump was picked from day one. He wasn't voted in by the people. Because they're using Trump, these two factions, commonly known as the left and the right. But now you have, the communist, socialist, Antifa versus the alt-right, the conservatives, the Republicans, when that's not what it is. That's not what it is at all. Now, both sides are being controlled by the same people. Antifa and the alt-right are two sides of the same. Many of the people involved with each side may not know that, but it's true. And we'll go over a little bit. I mean, I'm more right-leaning. I don't like to say I'm part of left or right because I'm not. I'm neither. I think for myself. I give you, to the best of my knowledge, is the truth. Don't ever believe me. Don't ever believe anybody. Look up this information for yourself. Do your own research. Don't ever take a person's word for it just because you heard it on YouTube. Pull up this picture. Greater Israel. Close this map here. Of course, the internet works slow when I'm trying to do a show here. So this is Greater Israel, and if you look at religious doctrine, this is the land they say God promised to the Israelites. Now, looking at this map, this little angular piece right here is Israel. North is Lebanon. The bigger piece to the east is Jordan. You can see up here is Syria, Iraq, clearly stated, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. The southern part of Iraq, and this small section right here, is Kuwait. So Kuwait and southern Iraq, western Iraq, has rich oil deposits. And as of right now, they're running the oil into the Persian Gulf and shipping it out. But what they want to do is build the pipelines to the west, Israel. Now, Israel will eventually take Lebanon, and they will take the western coast of Syria, cutting the Middle East off from the Mediterranean Sea. I believe these countries aren't just going to go lying down. You can also see this eastern part of Egypt is part of the Greater Israel Project. I mean, they want basically everything between, and I'm not sure if this is the Tigris or Euphrates. It's one or the other. But they want all the land in between. Oil-rich regions, so Israel could control the oil in the Middle East. How wealthy would that make Israel? But it's not going to make the Israeli people wealthy. It's going to make the Zionists. Or you do not have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. But here's the thing. These Zionists are running around masquerading as other religions, as Christians, as Muslims. And they're not. They're charlatans. They're liars. They pretend to be a religion so they could then use that religion as protection. So like in the United States, you have Christians, but they're really Zionists. And these people aren't people of God. They're atheists. And that's the truth. But they use Christianity, and especially Judaism, as an umbrella to hide under. And once you say anything about Zionism, they quickly tie it into Judaism, and you're a bigot, and you're a hater, and you're an anti-Semite. But as we see with Trump and this Trump effect, we see the diversions they're creating, and we see how the project of Greater Israel is becoming a real thing. So if you look just at this map right here, in Egypt, we had the color revolution in Egypt. Egypt has been overthrown. There was a military coup in Egypt. So you take Egypt out of the picture. You can't see it on this map, but west of Egypt is Libya. Libya has been taken over. Iraq. We've been at war with Iraq since what? 2003? Iraq is a mess. The next step in the greater is to split Iraq into 3 separate countries. Kurdistan, the south will be Shia, and the other one is going to be for the Sunnis, I believe. Wrong. The north is going to be Kurdistan. The central area is going to be Babylon. It's going to be Shia. They're bringing back Babylon, folks. And my channel is called Burning Down Babylon because that's what I'm trying to expose. Zionism, the fake Jews, the Babylonian system that these people have been trying to put us under for thousands of years. They're the same people who were the Pharisees in the time of Christ. So again, we look at the map here. Iraq's already been taken out. Egypt is taken out. Yeah, is a Muslim country, yes, but they're Wahhabists. And the Wahhabists and the Zionists are one and the same. So Saudi Arabia is on board for this. Right now, we're attacking Syria. With that said, we have Lebanon and Jordan left. Wipe those 2 out with no trouble at all. I don't see also how is Iran sharing a border with Israel? We constantly hear that Iran is the, center of world terrorism. That's not true. When do you see the Iranians doing anything? Absolutely. But what groups are they funding and why? And what part does Zionism take? The Iranians conduct their foreign policy. What we're talking about right now, Greater Israel, is the elephant in the room. You think Trump is for real and he's the real deal and he's going to make America great again? How could you make America great again when Israel is your master. Is your master. Zionism means Israel first, not America first, not freedom first, not liberty first, not make America great again. His slogan should be "Make Greater Israel." This is the truth. This is what the media will not talk about. This is why channels like mine barely get any views, because when you talk about this stuff, you get censored, you get silenced, you get your videos taken down, you get your subs taken off you. People on YouTube, when you search, get redirected around your channel. To top it off, when you do get a video out there, you get hammered. Bills. I mean, every anti-Zionist video I have got hammered. In the comment section, the thumbs down. They come out of the woodwork. And I'll say it right now. I am not against Jewish people. I'm not against Muslims. I'm not against Christians. Any people. Zionism. And anti-Zionism does not mean anti-Jewish. Most Jewish people don't even know about Zionism or what's going on. They're just regular people, like you and I. To some people, and some of them are from Israel. And they told me that Zionism is not popular in Israel amongst the masses, like the United States, is illegitimate, and they don't support Benjamin Netanyahu. They don't support Zionism. They don't support all these wars. But this is the Trump effect. This is what they're distracting you from. This is why they took a celebrity, a TV star of the United States. Because you think he gives a shit if they put out negative stories about him? All publicity is good publicity. Trump doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about Americans. He doesn't care about jobs. He doesn't give a shit about any of that. About. And in the coming weeks, he's going to Israel. And he has to go kiss Netanyahu's ass and get his next marching orders. That. Don't let the media trick you these rabbit holes talking about impeachment. He'll never be impeached. He's exactly what the Zionists want. He was put there for a reason. People voted him in. The left-right paradigm is bullshit. You need to know that. There is no left, there is no right. You don't get to vote these people in. That's just the way it is. And all the gossip and all the sensationalism and all the other fucking nonsense that goes along with it is just bullshit. Left. Don't fall for it. They want more and more division. People on the right. Message. Look at the division since September 11th. September 11th brought the country together. It didn't matter if you were white, if you were black, if you were whatever. And all this other shit that they're using to divide the people. That didn't matter. People felt close. They were people. They were Americans. Together. That closeness is gone. Within the last, say, 5 years, they've used every single difference that they could find between people and used it and wedge everybody apart. So let's move on to talk about these different groups, Antifa being one of them, the Alt-Knights, the alt-right, the Proud Boys with Gavin McGinnis, or Gavin Shitstain McGinnis, as Jeff C. calls him. So now we have all these different groups. And there's so many groups you can't even keep up with them. You know, there's the umbrella terms left and right. And then there's all these subgroups underneath them. So with the left, you know, you have the LGBT, which constantly changes and grows. And now, to my understanding, they've added the letter P to the mix, which stands for pedophiles. So even pedophiles are welcome on the left. But you have the socialists, you have the communists, you have the Antifas, all the LGBT people. And that's basically one side of the coin. And then you have the right, the conservatives, the alt-right, on white nationalism. Because God forbid white people want to do good by their own people. You know, if white people said they don't want any non-whites and they want their own country, the media and the left would go wild. And the left is Zionist run. So is the right. The media is Zionist run. But, you know, one country that only allows their kind of people there, they don't take immigrants and refugees, is Israel. You have to prove your bloodline to live in Israel. They're not taking on this whole diversity bullshit scheme. They don't want diversity. But yet the West has to take on all these refugees, take in all these subgroups. Something I wanted to talk about. Battle for Berkeley is of free speech. Free speech. They're calling it a battle, which means violence and fighting. Milo Yiannopoulos, a Jewish homosexual that was out by the Zionists, and we are told that he is the leader of the alt-right. Now, I'll tell you right now, the alt-right, and I've talked to some of these people, or people that are more leaning towards their group, their ideology. If they were to choose a leader, they would not choose a homosexual Jew that has a fetish for black men. Milo Yiannopoulos is bought and paid for by the Zionists. He's not the leader of the alt-right. The propaganda and the bullshit they're feeding us is up is down, left is right, good is bad. Boys are girls. Girls are boys. True is false. The more confusion they cause, the more control they get. The leader for the new conservative movement is first of all, he's foreign. He's not even American. He's English. He's a homosexual, and he's Jewish. That's the face, the new conservative right in the United States. Another, moving on to rebel media, tying them into this, Southern. Which ain't her real name, who's also Jewish. Rebel Media, who is run by Ezra Levant. And when I say Jewish, I don't want to say Jewish, I want to say Zionist. But it's easier to say Jewish. I mean, they are Jewish, I'm not lying. Isn't what's important. It's the Zionist part. Now look right here. Also search for Milo Yiannopoulos, Ezra Levant, and Gavin McInnes. So here's what they give us. They give us these, attractive, busty women. And she's 21. She's Canadian. She's supposed to be a conservative libertarian. Zionist news outlet. The Rebel. And I mean, if you don't know about the Rebel, I mean, Jesus Christ, they're the most Zionist media outlet in the world. They're supposed to be Canadian, and they're all over the world, United States, primarily. But you see Lauren Southern headlining event in Berkeley, California. Why is a Canadian 21-year-old woman, she's actually a man, legally had her gender changed? Because you could do that shit in Canada. So this Canadian man is a leader of the alt-right. Again, we see the foreign influence here. She's controlled by Zionists. University of the Fraser Valley. That's not her education because she dropped out. But this is what we get. We get the Lauren Southerns. We get Gavin McInnes. Not American. But he's the leader of the Proud Boys. The new Alt-Knights. Bringing up, this battle for Berkeley. Right only went there to ensue violence. And that's it. If they took a right-wing style group, made an event there in Berkeley, which is fundamentally liberal, left-leaning communists, they knew there was going to be trouble. And they came ready. So let's look at this guy. Faced stick man. It's because he hit a person with a stick. He assaulted someone at a protest with a stick. This is the guy, he carries around a shield. He wears a gas mask. He carries around his stick and his American flag. I'll tell you right now, his stick and go to one of these events and hit someone with it. You're going to get arrested for assault. If you hurt them bad enough, you could get assault with a deadly weapon. You could get in a lot of fucking trouble. What's going on? They're paying people to go to these events and start violence. And they want regular people like you and me to get involved. Because the more violence there is, the more ratings they get. The more videos they're going to pump out. The more sensationalism that's going to surround it. The face of the alt-right. A guy that goes around with a shield hitting people with sticks. You know, is that what this has come to? This is what a hero looks like? Around hitting people with a fucking stick? Other Americans. Do I agree with the left? Absolutely not. I don't believe in communism, the LGBT agenda. I don't support these agendas. With that said, I also don't support the right. I am conservative leaning, but I don't support going around and hitting people with a fucking stick. Are doing acts of violence, you lose. Violence begets more violence. But this is what we're supposed to take as this guy's a hero. And the right constantly pumping the American flag. Every one of these douchebags that you see on YouTube or whatever, American flag flying behind them. Guy baked Alaska. We don't want the actual dessert. Maybe if I put in alt-right. Here you get this guy. Put in his fucking mullet. You got the 666 symbol. Flashing that. That doesn't mean okay. Okay. To the common person, it does. It could. But to these people, it doesn't. That's a hand signal, and he's showing that he's down with Zionism and he's down with the agenda. The cultists use symbols to communicate. And there's plausible deniability where they could say, hey, I didn't know, that's just a hand sign. I don't know what this guy is doing. But they all do it. And it ain't like once. They do it all the time. All the time. With his dyed mullet. He looks like a fucking douchebag. His hair. With Milo Yiannopoulos. And what are they both doing? They're both throwing up to 666. Right. This is what they want us to believe. Turn a bitch. But you were going to see all these people together. And, you know, I used to listen to some of these guys until I see them. They're all on the same shows. This ain't the alternative right. This ain't the alternative media. This is the media. You think the media wasn't smart enough to know that people are going to start going to YouTube and using their computer instead of watching TV and reading a newspaper? They're in charge because they're fucking smarter than us. They're in charge and in control. Our attention. They direct the culture. Here's Baked Alaska and Milo Yiannopoulos with President Trump. These people are nobodies, yet they're meeting the fucking president of the United States. Because this is the agenda. There he is with his American flag behind him. These people don't love America. These people are not trying to make America great. It's quite the opposite. They've sold out. And if you think for a second that Trump isn't selling us out, you need to pull your fucking head out of your ass. I used to believe in politics. I thought these people were good people and they were going to help us. They are not. They care about their agenda and they care about themselves, and that is it. And they will use anybody and anything to sell us out. Baked Alaska used to work for ButtFeed, but he said he quit after he said that Justin Bieber was his spirit animal. He told him that's cultural appropriation, and that's why he quit. You're going to tell me you have a job in today's economy in the United States, you have a job and you're getting paid to do it. Obviously, you're getting paid, and you're going to quit, agree with what someone said. That's bullshit. Baked Alaska is proof that they control the left and they control the right. BuzzFeed was a left is a leftist website. It pumps all the leftist garbage. It's the spearhead of the leftist garbage. And this guy worked for them. Then he's an alt-right hero. The alt-right events. You see him hanging out with the president of the United States. You see him hanging out with all the other fucking douchebags. Like Cernovich and Milo. Kidding me. Let's look at the broadcast. Let's look at Rebel Media. Rebel Media came on the scene. I'm a news hound with current events. See, how the left-right paradigm is being pushed. Rebel Media comes out of Canada. But you rarely see Canadian stories. Tommy Robinson. We're going to get to that Zionist douchebag in a minute. But you look at the Rebel, what badges do they have here? Badge of uploading, 500 videos. Badge of authority, 250,000 subs. Badge of viewership, 75 million views. Social butterfly, like 3 or more social networks. Link 3 or more social networks to a YouTube account. So they have Rebel Canada, Rebel Edge, Les Rebelles Media, which I believe is French speaking. But the Rebel is Canadian. Why do they need a Rebel Canada page? Now we're going to search Rebel's YouTube page for Israel. And a few months ago, the Rebel actually went to Israel and they shilled out after video after video about Israel is, how the Arabs around Israel are just terrorists. Video after video about Israel. And of course, they don't give you the whole story. But they pump how wonderful Israel is. They don't talk about Zionism, about Israel's hand in foreign policy, who's actually causing the war and violence in the Middle East. They talk about how horrible the refugees are, but they don't tell you that the refugees are leaving their countries in this aggression. The Zionists have started wars in their country, and they're forcing them to leave. And then they force the West, Europe, Canada, the United States, to take on these refugees. This is an agenda. This ain't by mistake. This ain't an accident. But as you see, you get video after video after video after video about how fucking wonderful Israel is. You don't get the truth. You never get the truth. Now we're gonna. See, I don't even know if I could play this. So let's look at. I mean, I hate dead air, but Gavin McGinnis goes with the rebel over to Israel, and he made a video where he said, he actually spoke his mind. He intended on the video going viral, but he said how he's becoming anti-Semitic. Let's read what he says here. Quote, now, talking about the trip to Israel that the rebel media took, which rebel said was funded by viewers. So here we go. It's basically a brainwashing trip. I mean, I think the Israeli government paid for this. We had donors too, mostly Israelis, who assumed we were going to listen to all the shit we get fed. It's having the reverse effect on me. I'm becoming anti-Semitic. So here you get the truth. It's a brainwashing trip. It was a propaganda trip. And he says right here, the Israeli government paid for it. There were donors, but they were mostly Israelis. And I'll guarantee you, the non-Jews, the non-Israelites, were Zionists. Continuing, like at the Holocaust Museum, or as I called it, air quotes, Holocaust Museum. At one point, the tour guide goes, you know, there are some people who think this didn't happen. What's he saying right there? He's saying right there he doesn't believe the Holocaust. Say, no, I'm just kidding. And then he makes that comment about how the tour guide said there's people who think that the Holocaust didn't happen. Right there, he's saying that that's him. He's one of those people. Or why would he said that? Continuing. I felt like super far right Nazis just because of so much brainwashing. I felt like saying, well, they never said it didn't happen. What they're saying is that it was much less than 6 million and that they starved to death. They weren't gassed. That they didn't have supplies and they starved to death. They were horrible and they were mass graves. And all the pictures are real and everything, but it wasn't gassing. Research gassing. And B, look at how the concentration camps were built. You know, the wind could have shifted. It would have killed everybody in the camp, including the people running it. The Germans lived with their families at those camps as well. I'm not saying it wasn't gassing. Please don't take that clip out of context. But what the far right nuts are saying, God damn it too, they showed us footage of dead bodies getting bulldozed. I mean, the most graphic footage you've ever seen. Children naked, women emaciated, being thrown into big piles. Then he goes on to talk about there's other genocides. You know, Holodomor was in Ukraine, where millions and millions of Ukrainians were killed by Jews. Stalin was part Jewish. The majority of the Marxists and the people in the Soviet Union, 80% of them were Jews. And on, he talks about the Treaty of Versailles drawn up by Jews. And he tells you the truth. And his little comment here about not being taken out of context, talking about the gassing part, not the whole entire thing. To the Rebel page here, you know, I don't even know what to call it. I'm gonna have to look at it through this way. But then soon as he lands, soon as he got back to the United States, he makes a video saying that he likes Jews. He was taken out of context. And he lied. He lied about what he said. Right here. I'm not going to play it because right now I don't have the sound set up. You wouldn't be able to hear the sound of the video. But the guy makes this video. As soon as he lands in the United States, let's give it a thumbs down because he's full of shit. As soon as he lands in the United States saying that he loves Jews, he was taken out of context. That he doesn't believe that he said, I guess, you know what I mean? What he said right here. Brainwashing trip. The Jewish government didn't pay for it. Viewers did. Good viewers that wanted to know more about Israel. That Israel trip came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, they're going to Israel. Okay, we're still recording. But you can look this stuff up for yourself. And just because it's the Daily Storm doesn't matter. The messenger does not matter. It's the message. Here are Gavin McInnes's words. This is what he said. The statements in this video, what he really thinks about the Holocaust. He's a liar. He slipped up, let the truth come out. Look at the first comment. Damage control. Bolshevik Party was up to 85% Jews. That's true. The USSR was run by Jews. You fucked up. Now you got to backpedal or you won't have a career. Hagoda was the guy behind Holodomor. Hagoda was a Jew. Here's a good comment. Gavin lands at the airport not knowing about the frenzy around his Holocaust comment. Ezra runs up to him fast with a microphone. You got to disavow everything you said about Israel. Yeah, they'll lose their funding. Start paying for the rebel. So they want pro-Zionist propaganda being pushed. You can't go on a Zionist media platform and talk about the truth about how the Israeli Zionist government pushes propaganda and how the Holocaust is fake. You can't do that, Gavin. I'm surprised they didn't shit can him right off the top. But you see, they had more for Gavin McInnes. I'm not done with him yet. He's still a useful idiot. Pivot into the Alt-Knights subject. The alt-right has a group, a fraternal order of Alt-Knights, FOAC, as they're called. It's a, I guess it's a subgroup of the Proud Boys. And that's what they are. They're boys. They're little boys because real men wouldn't go around doing this shit. We got the alt-right. Basically, this is the military arm of the alt-right. Stickman is part of this whole thing. The what's the word I'm looking for? He was like the pilot. When they make a TV show, they have a pilot episode where they try it out to see if it works or not, if people will watch it. Base Stickman was the pilot episode. And when they saw that these people will actually dress up in costumes, wear helmets and masks, and bring sticks. This ain't a picture. What could we call it? Alt-Knights. But base Stickman was like the test. I've seen that people will actually dress up or up in this shit and actually go and start violence because that's what they want. The more violence there is at these events, the more control they could gain. So they send a guy like Base Stickman out. There's no way this guy was homegrown and just did this shit on his own. Don't go out with a stick at a protest and smash someone over the head with it. And you know it's bullshit? Because the base stickman is now famous. He's at all the events now. He's blowing up on social media. He went viral. Let me tell you something right now. You don't go viral unless the powers that be want you to go viral. You don't get viral videos on YouTube. You don't get 1 million subs unless they want you to. Look what I just said. I don't even have Twitter. But here's Gavin McInnes tweeting on the Proud Boys page. Elders just dropped a major bomb on me. They want to make based Stickman the president of the Proud Boys and his Alt-Knights the military division of the Proud Boys. What did I just say a few minutes ago? The Alt-Knights are now the military arm of the alt-right. These are fanatics. This is like Nazi Germany with the brown shirts. The Nazi party used these useful idiots to go around causing trouble. And that's what they're doing here. And they're making Antifa the enemy. Not the enemy. We're all Americans here. If we allow ourselves to be divided up, we're going to be conquered. Together we stand, divided we fall. Here's the actual alt-knight uniform ranking system. They use black and yellow, which is used in Defense League and other Zionist fucking bullshit groups. Here you can see they have a jacket. They're like freaking fraternity boys. They're like teenagers. You have the cross, FOAC. You know, they have the helmet, the shield. You get yourself a red, white, and blue stick. Knee pads, shin guards here. Goggles. This picture doesn't have the greatest definition. But these are the ranks and badges that go along with being in the Alt-Knights. Here you can see the upside down pentagram. The all-seeing eye sort of thing, the caduceus. But I mean, look at this shit. The black cube, the black sun. You tell me this shit's actually real? This is actually happening? We're supposed to believe in American politics. We have the left and we have the right. Right is these alt-knights that dress up in uniforms with sticks and riot gear. And they go to what are supposed to be peaceful events, peaceful protests, where people are supposed to have free speech and freedom to assemble. And these idiots show up and hit people with fucking sticks. Are you kidding me? This is going to be what they use to take our rights away. Here you can see the Malta cross. Who designs this stuff? This ain't by accident. You're going to tell me base stickman? speech. What if people don't accept your free speech? What are you gonna do? Hit them with fucking sticks? Happen? Good night, Antifa scum. Look at this one. I stomping in a guy's head. Is this what it is? When you don't agree with someone, you kick them and stomp them in the ground and kick their face in until they bleed. There's even blood. This is what American politics has become. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a leftist. I don't support the left. I don't support the LGBT agenda and the trannies and the communists. But this is the opposition. This is the other option. I don't want anything to do with either of them. Milo's back, May 5th. Cinco de Milo. What do we have? American flag in the background? The guy's not American. He's from England. He's a homosexual. Got the 666 symbolism here. And where's he going? Back to Berkeley. And this is where the whole battle for Berkeley started. When Milo had the speech scheduled there, and the left lit the fucking place on fire and destroyed a bunch of buildings. This is all by design. You're right. This is all by design. This is what the alt-right is wearing, a fucking American flag shorts, American flag shirts, helmets. He has the fucking Spartan helmet on with the mohawk. Free speech. Looks like. They look like a fucking biker gang. You show up and you fist fight. That's what a free speech rally looks like now. Not people talking, not people debating. You don't get to hear both sides, and the most rational and logical, the best speaker, the most well-spoken person wins, sort of thing. But you get whoever wears the fucking dumbest costume and does the stupidest shit is the winner. And people continue to fall for this shit. Time after time again, fall for this fucking shit. And they do it on the left too. Too. And they have the same memes. If I didn't know any better, I would say these are made by the same people. Right. You see Pepe the Frog getting beat up. I'm not sure what that symbol means. You got the guy in black with the mask. Good night, white pride. You're getting beat up by a unicorn. Since when is it wrong to have white pride? I'm a white person. I'm proud of white people. Look at the accomplishments white people have made in just the last 100 years. Take away the accomplishments of white people in the last 100 years. What would the world look like? We're talking about no automobiles, no planes, computers, medicine. I mean, the list goes on and on. If you want to go further back, good night, white pride. So having pride as a white person is evil. But you got Black Lives Matter. There's gay pride. That's cool. You could go to a gay pride parade and there's guys walking with dicks hanging out, big dildos. That's cool. Right in front of children. This is their uniform, dressed in black with their faces covered. The red flags, the black masks. This is all bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. It is all bullshit. The end game, people going out in the street and being violent. They want regular people like you and me to put on their uniforms and go out and fight and start trouble. If this continues to escalate, there could possibly be a civil war in the United States. It wasn't like the anti-years ago or these. You didn't see these demonstrations where violence is ensuing. Women are getting punched in the face. Where'd all this stuff come from? If anything, I would say race relations in the United States are getting better, much better. The majority of white people voted for a half black guy for president for the first time ever. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to believe that white people in the United States are racists. Let's look at this one. Here's one of the faces of the Antifa, the left. This is a girl that got at one of the communist lefty rallies. They're saying this is what she used to look like and this is what she looks like now. She was an attractive blonde girl. Picture, of course. This is how advertising works. The picture's not in color. Then they show her in color, smiling. She has her armpit hair. Now she has dreads and armpit hair. My words. 5, 10, 50. All these girls with blue hair and mohawks that go around, gender fluid, gender queer, when they're too old to have children and no men want to be with them, they're going to be very depressed. And you're going to see these people committing suicide. Because women were meant to be with men and have children. Women are the foundation of the family unit. They're the foundation of the clan, of civilization. They're our mothers, our grandmothers, our sisters. They bear the children. They care for the children. They hold down the fort and the men defend it. But this is to outrage you. People are saying, why did the left get riled up over this? Look at the alt-right, they punch women in the face. What are women doing in the front lines of these protests? Who puts their women out front? But this is by design. Why did this go viral? Because they wanted it to go viral. I could gab and go on forever. On screen. I just wanted to see how long I've been talking here. I don't know, never mind. But this is what we got. This is the Trump effect. This is what we're dealing with. We talked about Trump. We talked about Zionism. What Trump's agenda truly is. We talked about the Alt-Knights, rebel media, Antifa. And, right now I'm working on rebranding the channel. It's always going to be anti-Zionist, anti-New World Order, exposing the bullshit. I'm always going to yap on and on and on for hours about what I think and, what I've learned over the years. But I'm trying to create a format for my show. And I know right now a lot of people ain't watching it. Barely anybody is. But I'm hoping as time goes on and I continue to make videos and do live broadcasts, I could get more and more people. I'm trying to get some of the people I talk to online to come and join me on my show. So in summation, I just want to say, don't fall for the left-right. It's hard. It's hard to recognize and see through the bullshit in real time. I fall for it sometimes too. But know this, there is no left, there is no right. Don't fall for the left-right. Because that's exactly what they want. It ties into the greater Israel. The Zionists want to chop up countries into smaller pieces because they're easier to control. America's huge. There's over 300 million people. It's hard to control them. If all the people in America believed to be Americans and were one heart and one soul and one mind, they would be unstoppable. But you break them up into subgroups, man and woman, gay and straight, LGBT even has a million different subsections. Are you left or right? Are you conservative or are you alt-right? Are you alt-light? Are you an alt-knight? Are you a socialist? Are you a communist? Are you a leftist? Are you a Marxist? Are you a Leninist? Are you a Stalinist? The more groups they could break us up into, the easier we are to be controlled. So yeah, I was away for a while, took a little break, recharged my batteries. I'm networking with people. I'm going to try to get some guests, get the live chat popping. And one day I hope to have, some loyal subs, some people to come on the show. Like I said, I'll answer questions. We could talk about anything pretty much. But that's the show tonight. It's 1:30 in the morning where I am, Eastern Standard Time. I got to get to bed. My son is coming over tomorrow. I can't wait. I love that little guy. He's my life, you know? So, like, when I have my son, I don't make videos and I don't go live. He always comes first. But this is Lloyd White with Burning Down Babylon. Don't believe the hype. Don't fall for the left-right bullshit. Don't get violent. Use your head. Think. Don't believe me. Do your own research. P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute. Don't be that sucker. I'm out. Peace.